My name is Alex, and today I'll be refuting the advocate's claim of life existing on planets other than Earth. The first secondary claim is that there are a vast variety of environments on Earth that are home to living organisms, which means that the conditions on other planets do not have to match with those on Earth. So the advocate on this section did not really cite any sources to support this evidence. There is no proof to what is necessary and what is dependent for life organisms to survive in this condition. Referencing to Danny Faulkner's Institute Creation and Research, there is no life yet or no evidence that life exists elsewhere. And in astrobiology, the study of extraterrestrial life, which is a science for which there is no data, or at least no data in the support of the study. Which brings me to the second secondary claim, which is there are no organisms that have been found. There are organisms that have been found in extreme locations which survive off of different compounds rather than high levels of oxygen. The advocate is assuming that because life exists on Earth in various environments, that life will survive similar to ours on any other planets. This second main claim in terms of oxygen and weather conditions is kind of quite similar to the first main claim, making it a little bit redundant and kind of a circular reasoning process. Reading along the website used for the advocate's example study of the geochemist who found the methane from Mars meteorite when crushed, the scientists said that they have not found life there yet, but the methane could potentially support microbes in the subsurface. So scientists are speculating that microbes could exist, but this is still not proven. Also, they're an example of a certain organism, tardigrade, with microbes that may be able to transfer to and from different plants. The key word here is may. Scientists are only speculating that it is a possibility, not a proven fact. Following to the last claim, which is the advocate's last claim, is that due to a vast number of stars indicates the potential for rocky planets to sustain life is far beyond scientific technology and is still not proven any life existence. The advocate cites the estimation given by David Cornrick theory that there are 100 octillion stars in the universe, and thus there must be life within one of these stars, and that is still, again, speculating and unproven. Also, in the last example given, that a high chance of a planet in the Goldilocks zone containing liquid water is still not a proven fact. And even if there was water, it does not necessarily mean that life would be able to exist there. The advocate's first claim that environments on other planets do not have to match Earth's environments contradicts this last claim, saying that if there is water present on other lives, then there is a high probability of life existing. Despite NASA missions into space, landing on the moon, and sending satellites and vehicles up to other planets, scientists have yet been able to offer any proof of life on other planets. In conclusion, the advocate's following claims are: 1, the conditions of the environments on other planets do not have to match with those on Earth. 2, there are organisms that have been found in extreme locations which survive off of different compounds rather than high levels of oxygen. And 3rd, vast number of stars indicating the potential for nearby planets to sustain life. The advocates' claims overall have harmed their argument that life exists on planets other than Earth because they are simply speculative and unfounded. Thank you.
Well, you label the advocate's claim. You've got your counterclaims at the bottom, basically a summary of your argument. It's speculative and unfounded, and that's basically the way you try to proceed in the rest of the individual arguments. On the first point, where you challenge the argument that the advocate makes talking about all of the different environments that exist on the planet, there's some question is about the Faulkner information that you referred to sounds like it's evidence that the advocate presented, and you ask a couple questions on it, but basically your position here is that no evidence has been demonstrated. In fact, the whole science of astrobiology appears to be based on no data and a variety of assertions. So I think that there's probably some reason to believe that astrobiology might be a viable science, but you seem to suggest with one fell swoop that all those people are wasting their time, and it would be nice if there was some substantive reason to believe that other than just the fact that they haven't found anything. Theory might account for a lot of things. That there's no proof doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true. But it does mean that we haven't maybe reached a threshold of belief that's appropriate yet. I think that's maybe the way you want to phrase it. The other thing I think that's missing here is an argument about why it is important to discover this. Why is this an argument in the first place? Why does this matter, especially if we're never going to be able to travel to any of these places or obtain direct information about this? This is one of those questions that's sort of like how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. It's interesting to speculate about, but how is it doing any of us any good? I think that would be a good maybe counter argument, something like that. On the second point, you basically have the same argument here. You challenge them saying, it's all hypothetical, it may, and I think that's a reasonable press to make, although you could have made that press 20 seconds after the argument was presented. You give us no reason to doubt the hypothetical, and if the hypothetical seems likely or probable under the conditions that are described, that might make it a reasonable inference to achieve without any counter hypothetical, and I think that you need some information there. Your position basically comes down to at the end that this is a lot of theory and speculation, which we don't have any evidence for except some vague analogy that's being drawn between the different planets. I did like the challenge that you had on the third point that said, look, if it doesn't matter if the environments are duplicated on other planets, then why are you making a comparison to all the environments on our planet? That's a very reasonable question. I think that was a very useful challenge on the reasoning there. All right, thank you.